Welcome, everybody. My name is Ernesto. This is Words and Beats with Phantasiis. Today, we have a very special guest. Is a producer from Wisconsin named Shaun Dougie. So, without further ado, let's get started. So, yeah, Shaun, how's it going?
It's going pretty good. Just been working at the studio a lot, making beats practically almost every day. I've been doing this for quite some time now, so
That's awesome. Awesome. So, for the first question, because our audience might not know about you. If they will ask you, like, if your best friend will ask you who is Shaun Dougie, what will they say?
they would just say I'm more so an easygoing guy. I'm very friendly. I joke around a lot. Not too many people are aware of that I make beats yet, but they will know soon. I'm up and coming.
Yeah, yeah, awesome, cool. Um, all right, so let's dive into it. The first question will be like, when did you discover that you wanted to create your own music?
I've always had an ear for music. I apologize for the background noise.
It's all good, man.
Yeah, I'm just outside smoking a cigarette. I've always had an ear for music. I've loved beats since the day I first heard a rap beat, and I picked it up when my brother actually was making beats himself. He got me into it, and I just loved it ever since. And this was back when I was in high school, 15, 16 years old.
Oh, wow. Okay, so it's been a while.
At that time, but as I've recently picked it up, I've learned more tricks of sounds, how to make it better, mastering, mixing, and plugins, VSTs, all that.
Awesome. That's cool, man. So it's been, I would say, like, what, a little bit close to a decade or more than a decade of making music? Yeah, it's been more like 10 years of making music.
Yeah, I'm 26 now. It's been about 10 years, yeah.
Oh, wow. So going on that, like, what were some of the challenges during the early stages, like, when you were starting out?
When I first started, it was finding a rhythm, just figuring it out, and making melodies too was a very difficult thing, and finding the right sounds to use, what sounded good with what melody. That was a hard challenge for me, and then laying out the beat. And then after that, it was mixing and mastering. I didn't know anything about that until recent years. I started to understand sound quality better after plugging it into my phone and downloading it and hearing how it sounds terrible.
Right. Yeah, no, there's a quote that says, the tape doesn't lie. Like, once you have record something and play on the car speakers or any speakers, like, oh man, kind of revealing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, awesome. So tell me about, do you have any current challenges right now as far as producing?
I do still have some issues with mixing and mastering. I'm still trying to figure that out. I think all of us are, but it's one of those things that you just got to find what sounds best for you, because every beat's not going to come out perfect like you want it to. There's some melody sounds or some sounds for your instruments that you're using doesn't sound as good as others when you mix it together. You just need to know which exact sound pack to use that you have or made.
Right. Now let's get into interesting stuff, like, tell me about the first beat or song you ever made. Like, is there a story behind it?
Yeah. Well, about that. It wasn't the greatest. I still actually have it up on YouTube. It's not the greatest beat I've ever made, but my friend and I back in high school, we loved it when I made it, and we would play it on long car rides. When I was driving out to Michigan with him and his mom, we played the beats that I made. I made like 6 or 7 of them at the time. We just would make or freestyle over the beats on the car rides. Just made the best of it.
That's awesome. Do you have, like, what's your process, or do you have any particular routines where you're about to make a song or a beat?
Yeah. What I essentially do is I first start off with my melody, find what exactly I want to use Sometimes I use Midi chord packs, which actually helps out a lot. It speeds up the process. When I want to make a melody, I go through all the sounds that I want to use, and then I go from there. If there's something that catches my attention with the chords that I'm playing, sometimes I have to switch up the keys just to make it sound a little better, add some flavor to it or character. And once when I find the right melody that I want to use, add sounds to that, and then play the drums on top of it. I go first with hi-hat, because hi-hat's your main melody's flavor, I would say. That's like the spice to it. You wanna give it a good spice, because once when you get that hi-hat laid down properly, you can put kicks and snares on it, or claps, whatever you're trying to do.
Awesome. So will you say like the hi-hats are your strong asset, as a producer? Like each producer has like their own, like I feel like this is kind of what,
I'd say my strong suit is melodies, actually, surprisingly.
Awesome. Yeah. Cool.
The one thing that I've had issues with when I was younger, it's something I've mastered.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, and I'm on that train too, like, learning how to properly mix and master and all that. It's a learning process. One has to put all the hours and getting our ears used to, the sounds and the EQ. So yeah. Who's on your music playlist lately, as of now, like any genres or particular artists?
Yeah, I listen to a lot of Wiz Khalifa. I'm a big fan of his. Him, a little bit of Doja Cat, not gonna lie. I do like Doja Cat. She's a very hot artist right now. Young Boy, NBA Young Boy. Gucci Mane sometimes. It depends. Little Baby. It varies. I could keep going on, but those are the big ones.
Awesome. Thank you for that. Do you play any instruments or have any hidden talents? It could be anything you consider like, this is a tool of a trade, or
Yeah. I did learn how to play guitar when I was younger, but I've kind of lost that trait. So I do understand guitar a little bit. So I'd say my strongest suit for instruments that I do not play be more so piano or drums. I understand the drums over anything. I used to play drums when I was a young kid, and my dad would play guitar, and we'd play songs together, and it was a good time. He was really good too.
Awesome. I mean, do you mind if we dive into that? How it kind of started, like the music connection? I think, the audience would love to hear that, like your beginnings on music and all that.
I got my first instrument when I was 12 years old in middle school. My dad bought me a guitar, electric guitar for Christmas, for my mom and dad, and I wanted an Xbox. I'm not gonna lie. I was pretty upset about that. I wanted an Xbox 360, but they gave me an electric guitar, and I was like, all right, you know what? I got it. I might as well do something with it. And I started playing Metallica songs. I was playing One. That was a very simple.
Right.
Just the intro.
Yeah. That's a beautiful intro, man. I think that's kind of like one that any acoustic guitar player has to play at some point. It's awesome, man. Cool. So was it there like a particular moment when you would start like jamming with your dad or something? Like, or just kind of happened naturally, or?
It happened over time. It was more of me growing up, I'd say, and actually finding what I enjoy, and that's music.
That's awesome. Any heroes or people you look up to, and why?
Oh, that's a tough question. Well, if I had to say of any heroes, obviously my mother. She's a big inspiration for me as a person. She's helped me through hard times in life. We've all gone through hard times, and she's always been there for me. I've had my hand reached out for her plenty of times, and it still goes on. But she's never going to turn her back, and that's what I appreciate about her as a person.
Awesome, man. Thank you for sharing that. any guilty music pleasure or an artist that people don't expect from you, like like oh I love X, Y, and Z or whatever. So, you know.
Could you repeat that question?
Yeah, any guilty music pleasure, or an artist that people like when you're listening to it, like it's like, are you listening to that? Like you get it,
I like jazz. I really like jazz, and
yeah, it's awesome.
I'm open to just about anything for music. I kind of like classical music too, and a lot of video game music. I love video games.
yeah. Hey, Zelda, that's what's up. What's your favorite Zelda song? Do you have like a particular?
I'd say this Serenata of Water.
Oh yes.
On piano. It's beautiful.
Yeah. I like the one that's called. I was for the Nintendo 64. What's it called? The Requiem or something. Forgot the title, but I think it was on the Light Temple or whatever. I love that song.
Yep. I know which one you're talking about. That's Ocarina of Time.
Right. Yeah. One of my. That's kind of like my last console that I have until now. But yeah.
Yep.
Was there someone? Was there someone who motivated you? During your early stages, or mentored you? When you're starting out, like in music. Or...
A lot of YouTube channels I've been watching. I watch a lot of famous producers on YouTube. That's actually where I've learned a lot of stuff that I know today. All I did was research. The best tool still to this day is YouTube. You can get anything you want figured out from YouTube. You can learn how to build a rocket ship, for all I know, on YouTube.
Yeah, definitely, man. Yeah, like I think I kind of stopped, looking for articles. I'm sorry, like videos how to do, process on the DAW. But when I was starting out, man, I was, breathing YouTube, and any website that showed tutorials. So I feel you on that. I definitely feel that I put a lot of hours, And it's like, instead of watching TV, YouTube music production became my TV, if that makes sense. Yeah.
I still do it too, even though I'm, as of right now, I would say I'm good, but I'm not great. I know there's a step that I can always go for. And one producer I watch a lot of is Nick Mira. He's a producer that worked with Juice WRLD a lot.
Okay.
And but he's an inspiration.
Oh wow, definitely. Speaking of that, I think you touched a good point. Like, besides that producer, like, do you have any other like producer heroes, or like, man, like I love his style, or sense of rhythm or melody,
Kyle Beats is another one. Kyle Beats is a very talented producer as well. Him, Ocean is good too. Simon Servita, he's good. I'd say those are the top producers I would watch a lot of. There's one producer, I can't put my tongue on it. I just started watching him recently. He's actually got some very good detailed videos on teaching producers on how to step their game up a little bit. I'd have to show you that link sometime. But he's very good too. I like his sound. He's got a very, very bizarre name to his production, which kind of makes it difficult to remember. So,
understood. What makes you come back to the studio? Like wake up in the morning or after work? Like, do you have something that motivates you? Like getting back to the craft.
I think myself that I used to not have the studio. Because when I didn't have it, I just wanted it more and more. And I wake up in the morning, I go right into the studio and just make beats. And then when I'm done with that beat, I start up another one.
Yeah.
Until I'm just done for the day where everybody's asleep. And then I have to cut it off. The speakers are loud and whatnot.
Right. Awesome. Do you mind if we dive into gear talk for a little bit? Like, what you use, or do you remember your first piece of gear that kind of upped your game?
Well, when I first started off, it was laptop speakers.
Right. Yeah, I feel you, man.
Absolutely. It wasn't nothing, but I've improved on what I wanted to use. I went to headphones, kind of like what you're wearing right now, and then I went from that to actually having monitors. And I have JBLs, MK2s, the 308s.
Mm-hmm.
Those are phenomenal, right out the box, ready to go. The only issue that I have with those is when I'm mastering. So when I hear the sound on the speakers or the monitors itself, I've noticed that it throws it off when I download it and put it on my phone. It's completely different for sounds. So if I was to suggest to anybody that's listening, go and use headphones for when you're mastering, because you'll get the full effect. Still use the monitors, master it there, but then do the final touches on your headphones, download it, send it to your phone, and then listen to it. You got to listen on every different platform that you can possibly think of, even your car speakers. Once when you hear it on everything until it's perfect, most people listen to their music in their car. So you want to have it at its best for a car.
Right. Yeah, totally agree on that. Yeah, like on my approach too, like, I mean, on my end, I have, Mackie monitors, but they're like, I think, they're small, like, 5 inches at most. I don't know. But, I use a combination of, monitors and headphones. And yeah, I think that's the way to go for bedroom producers like me, But yeah, awesome. As far as, do you use like any MIDI stuff, like pads, keyboards, or something?
Yeah, like I was saying earlier, I use Midi Packs.
Mm-hmm.
I'm guilty of it. It does actually speed up the process a lot more. You already have it ready to go. All you got to do is just adjust a couple keys to make it sound how you want. If you hear something that sounds better in a higher key or a lower key.
Right.
One thing I do recommend that people should start learning if they're going to start producing, start learning music theory. If you don't understand what C minor is, A sharp, all that, you want to learn. If you don't know what scale is, you're not going to know what key it's in. And then if I'm collaborating with another producer, they won't know what key it's in, and they're going to be thrown off when they're making a beat.
Right.
Because they have to counter the melody.
Definitely. Yeah, I mean, knowing like kind of which terrain one is, like from. Yeah, that's very important, man. Thank you for sharing that. Now, I mean, we're gonna get a little bit serious. It's up to you how much you want to share, but have you ever had like a dark time or extended time that you have to kind of take time off from music? And if so, like, can you tell us why? And then up to you, how much you want to disclose.
I won't go too much into details with that. I was a drug addict at one point. I've recovered. This wasn't too long ago too, but that definitely stepped me away from the studio. Last year, I just started doing this again, and I relapsed, and then I lost all the stuff I had because of the habit that I had, and I thought I wasn't going to go back to it because I wasn't going nowhere with it. And just recently, I stepped out of that shell and said, you know what, it takes time. It's not going to happen overnight. You gotta really stick with it. And it was definitely a hard time in my life where I was struggling, moving from house to house and just trying to find food to eat or whatever, just trying to find money for the day.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, yeah, man, thank you. I mean, I appreciate the honesty, and I hope that the audience can relate to some point, some of that, and what they say, just for today, and like one day at a time.
Yep, one day at a time.
Yeah, and like on my end, I don't necessarily struggle with substances, but I do, struggle with mental health at some point, during various times of, growing up, you name it, like childhood or whatever. But I did have times that I actually had to stop doing anything creative because I was just not going anywhere, like I will try to make a beat or even draw, because I used to draw a lot. And I did notice, like the quality, like before an episode or something or after, there is a difference, and then you kind of take both of them in a way and it turns into something better. I don't know if that makes sense. Like
it does. Yeah,
yeah,
I understand.
yeah. So do you feel that, based on your career, has your music changed as far as the vibe you project, or have, your process change or the quality change, like before and after?
Yeah, it's one of those things you learn in life, and if you don't figure it out now, you won't figure it out ever. Well, I guess that's not true. You can figure it out later. It's just it can take longer.
Right.
And
Yeah.
I'm glad when I did figure it out when I did. If I didn't have car issues, I probably would still be making poor choices. Just
Definitely.
be honest.
Yeah. Yeah. So now let's flip the page, man. I know we got kind of serious for a minute. um, this is a cool question. What would you do if you had to start over? Like, fresh. Like as far as music goes. Kind of like what your present self will tell your younger self or new producer self will tell you. Hey man, do A, B, and C, and D, skip this and that, and you'll save years of time.
Yeah. Well, I would definitely tell myself, look, you gotta first figure out how to understand making a beat. Don't focus on trying to make it perfect because it's not going to turn out perfect when you're still learning.
Definitely. Yeah. I think that everybody aims to perfection to us. I mean, I think everybody does. I think it becomes like an issue when once that's the only end goal, and kind of we forget about the process.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We all don't just turn out to be the next Lil Wayne.
Right. Yeah,
DJ.
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And as far as about we're almost half an hour, so I don't want to take more of your time. But where can people find you on social media if they want to get in touch with you or work with you, collaborations and what? All your handles that you want to share. This is your space for it now.
You can find me on Instagram. I'll just have you post the link below. Instagram is my main source. Facebook too. I have a page on Facebook, but I do also have a personal profile on there as well. But I try to keep those two separate.
Yeah, of course.
And I do have Beatstars. That's where all my beats are. Every single one of them I've made.
Yeah. I'll make sure to post the links like on the video somewhere.
Yep.
Yeah. Yep. Awesome. So okay.
And then YouTube, I'm trying to get into YouTube, but as of right now, I'm not too focused on that because there's a lot of people that steal beats on there, and my beats stolen. Granted, if I have it tagged, it will help out with getting my name out there more, but you gotta pay your producers.
Yeah, definitely. I feel you, man. I feel you on that one. Yeah, man. I mean, as a last question, do you have any advice for new producers? I mean, it doesn't have to be about music necessarily. It can be anything that it's like, hey, you could make note of this if you're starting out.
Not off the top of my head as of right now. I would just say, just take your time. Just enjoy what you're doing. If you enjoy it, you'll find your niche. Find out what you're best at, and if you see something you're struggling with, focus on that more. So for my situation, I see that I'm good at melodies. Now I should focus on something different, like my mixing and mastering. That's my main source right now that I'm trying to figure out. And like I said, all of us are trying to figure it out. There's only some figured it out to the very least of any issues.
Yeah. For real. Hey man, that was a good answer. I loved it. I was like, man, that was a solid advice. Even though you were like, I need to think about it, that was pretty cool, man.
I couldn't think of anything that came to me.
That's just flow through. That's awesome. Any something that you would like to say to your audience, because they're obviously any words for them?
Yeah, never give up. Never give up. If you love it, keep doing it.
Excellent.
Know you differently besides yourself. Don't make yourself your worst critic.
Yeah, that's tough, man. That's tough. I'm on that one. Like, I mean, I feel you. You should take note of that.
Myself, I hear my flaws. I won't say them, but I hear them.
Yeah. Awesome. All right. So I think that we're in a good point to wrap it up. I know it's getting dark in there. It looks so beautiful, man. Like the purple sky, man. I think this is a good visual. Hell yeah. Oh yeah. All right. So this has been Words and Beats with Fantasies. I'm with Shaun Dougie. And again, my name is Ernesto, and I'm gonna put his links and everything on the YouTube video, like once I upload it. And yeah, thank you everybody for tuning in, and until next time. Okay, bye for now.
Me.
All right.